So if I'm walking down the street and I need to pull out my identity to share it with someone, or if someone on Airbnb requests my ID and I need to share it with them, I can immediately open the app, and the first thing I'm doing is having what I need to share my ID available to me, right? And so it was really a decision that was both about ethos and practicality. And as this identity wallet gets more feature rich, there's going to be more and more and more for people to do there inside of the wallet. And hopefully it becomes way easier than using a physical wallet.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Future Proof, which is the new name of our GlobaliD podcast. We're excited to have Trey Steinhoff back on the podcast to discuss the launch of our all-new revamped ID wallet. Trey is a product marketing director at GlobaliD who's been working with our team on this new release, which is our most substantial product launch in quite some time. And it's the first of a series of major updates planned for the coming months, so we are very excited. Trey, thanks for joining us today. How are you doing?
Doing well. Thanks for having me. Excited about this launch.
Absolutely. Just jumping right into things, could you start by explaining why this release is such a big deal for GlobaliD? I'm thinking in particular about how the ID wallet is a core pillar for what we're trying to achieve, the mission we're trying to achieve, and how it enables everyone to own and control their digital identity. So could you discuss how this release helps us take the next step in that journey?
Sure. I mean, I think this release is a return to some of the essentials for us, those core pillars like you talked about. The identity wallet is at the center of a reusable identity model, right? Where individuals can control their identity and bring it wherever it is they need, and then always have consent for when they want to share it. And so the ID wallet is right at the heart of everything that we do. And really what this represents for us, I think, is a reinforcement of our commitment to individuals that need to hold their identity and making it useful for them every day.
Yeah, it makes total sense. In order to fix the broken identity systems that exist today, we have to make new digital identity applications convenient and useful for the end user, kind of like you were alluding to, for the individual. Otherwise, people just won't adopt the technology and use it to interact with their communities and businesses how we envision. So with that in mind, could you explain some of the convenient benefits our new ID wallet will provide to people and how it might make their lives easier today?
Absolutely. Right, yeah, so digital identity is already a big change of pace for people. They're used to their physical cards. And what we were hoping to accomplish with this was showing that digital identity can be easier, better, faster, safer than your physical representations of your cards, or maybe even than the way that you're storing it on your phone today. A lot of people are keeping pictures of their IDs in their camera reels, right? And so with this release, you're able to add your driver's license and your passport, all kinds of other identity checks as well. And then you can easily pull them up right from your application, which can be your choice, gated by biometrics like a Face ID. So it's always secure. And then once you're looking at this information, you can easily share it either as a picture, as a JPEG. You could copy particular fields. Just a little quality of life feature is you'll never have to type your passport number ever again into a field, right? You should just be able to copy and paste it whenever you need it until every travel agency or airliner accepts a verifiable credential. This is a step in the right direction to make digital identity easier for people.
Yeah, it's very cool stuff. I was uploading some of my IDs in the updated app earlier today. It was awesome. And we also have to make sure, because we are talking about people's IDs, sensitive information, that our users' data is private and secure in order for people to trust GlobaliD and get used to the idea of using a digital wallet in general. I'm sure some people are going to be skeptical about the idea of uploading their important IDs onto their smartphone. So could you explain how digital wallets can actually be more secure than a physical wallet and provide better options for sharing our information?
Yeah, absolutely. So with a digital wallet, if it is built by people that put privacy at the center of what they do, like we do, it can hold all of your information in an encrypted way, and it can hold it on your device, or it can be held in a hashed, encrypted, secure enclave on the cloud, so you can recover it if you need to. Right, on your device would be the best case scenario, right? So it's only there. But if you want the convenience of being able to have a backup if you need it, there are ways in which you can use like the latest encryption and storage technology to keep it as safe as possible, so that even the company engineering it, like GlobaliD, doesn't actually know any of your information or hold it or have any way of accessing it. It all comes back to you, right? And so with storage, there's already a couple options there. And then when it comes to usage, we already hinted at the ability to gate access to these IDs on a PIN code, on a biometric like a fingerprint or a Face ID, which is built into a lot of the hardware people use today, which is already way safer than somebody just steals your wallet and instantly has all of your ID information, right? And then the last bit of this maybe touches on verifiable credentials, the actual technology that is holding or containerizing the information that is contained inside of your identity document, like your driver's license. When it's put into a verifiable credential, it is also encrypted and requires key pairs to reveal what this information is. And so it will guarantee that you are consenting to sharing this information, and it is tamper evident. And so if somebody were to try to change some information inside of your verifiable credential or access it without your consent, it would be known the next time that somebody went to use this verifiable credential. So there's all kinds of different ways in which digital identity can be safer than physical ID, from storage to usage to the actual holding of a verifiable credential. And so these are some of the things that we've tapped into for this release, and hopefully it makes people feel safe about putting their passport in their phone.
Absolutely, yeah, it makes total sense. And we built our ID wallet with the future in mind, specifically the future of the internet and how it's going to enable people to safely and securely interact once Web3 is fully realized. So could you provide some details on the portable and interoperable standards our new ID wallet is built on, including those recently finalized by the W3C, and how those will enable our users to venture into the digital future confidently?
Absolutely, right. So the main thing is the verifiable credentials standards, right? These verifiable credentials are, like I said, containers for information that tie together the three aspects of identity that you need to have a functioning identity system, which we've talked about before in the podcast, right? The holder, the verifier, and the issuer. And so these verifiable credentials enable anybody to become a verifier, where they could receive a verifiable presentation from a holder and then understand if the information contained within belonged in fact to that holder, if it had been tampered with, on what date it was issued, to who it was issued to, which issuing body issued the credential. Did it come from a university or the DMV or another business, whatever it is, and then be able to resolve back to prove the validity of that issuer, right? And so these verifiable credentials basically create an ecosystem for people to have trust online. And so these are standards that have been supported and adopted by all of the contributing parties to the W3C. They're standards that are going to be promulgated throughout a lot of the larger tech ecosystem going forward for the next 5 or 10 years. And the key portion of this, like you mentioned, is portability. And so portability in this context means being able to take your verifiable credential anywhere you go, from one platform to the next. If you want to use this credential to log into website A or to sign up for service B, or also if you want to take this verifiable credential from your GlobaliD wallet, for example, to some other wallet. Let's say you build your own wallet and you want to be able to hold verifiable credentials in it. You could take your verifiable credential that you maybe received through GlobaliD or were holding in GlobaliD and pass it to your new wallet. And so these are the kinds of consumer-driven privacy and portability standards that the W3C has built into the spec that we are honoring as closely as we can, right? To bring this to market and get more people using this kind of technology so that everybody can benefit from a safer identity future.
Right. I mean, the whole thing just reinforces, you know, how we prioritize the user and the individual and empowering them, and just reinforces the fact that we don't want your data, we don't want access to your data, we want it to be private and for you to have it securely, and for you to use it how you want. And so, like you said, those standards just kind of reinforce that. Would you walk us through some of the changes this release will bring to the GlobaliD app itself, such as the refreshed user interface, and how the ID wallet will be the new homepage of our app? You know, why was the decision made to make the ID wallet front and center and be the first thing users are going to see when they now open the app?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, the decision was a pretty simple one. It's at GlobaliD, identity is at the center. And in the past, I think we've ventured down payments paths and messaging paths, but at the core of who we are as an organization and what our technology is identity. And so we wanted to surface that immediately when people came to the app. And from a user experience perspective, what that means is GlobaliD's digital identity immediately becomes faster to use, right? So if I'm walking down the street and I need to pull out my identity to share it with someone, or if someone on Airbnb requests my ID and I need to share it with them, I can immediately open the app and the first thing I'm doing is having what I need to share my ID available to me, right? And so it was really a decision that was both about ethos and practicality. And as this identity wallet gets more feature rich, there's going to be more and more and more for people to do there inside of the wallet, and hopefully it becomes way easier than using a physical wallet.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. If what people need is their identities right away, why wouldn't they just be front and center? I mean, there's no reason for them to have to click another tab. So that's actually one of the most convenient features of this new update that I really enjoy. As we mentioned before, this is only the first of a series of major updates we have planned for the coming months. We're going to be announcing these updates through a new series on our blog called The Launchpad. Could you just explain what those blog posts will include and where people can find them?
Absolutely, yeah. The Launchpad is just going to be our recurring way of keeping everyone in our community and our users up to date on what we're building and what we're working on. And so you'll find everything from consumer-based features that might be coming out, so the ID wallet being one of them, something that's focused on holders, to maybe new tooling that we're creating for verifiers so that they can more conveniently accept verifiable credentials in these verifiable presentations. And you might even see things about how we're pushing forward certain pilots or different projects across our organization to try to bring this more secure digital identity to different ecosystems. And so we're excited to be kind of more consistently bringing our progress to everyone in real time. And so I'm excited to write more and work more and release more products and get more feedback through the Launchpad.
Yeah, me as well. I mean, it's a super exciting time. And I guess to wrap up and kind of piggyback on that, would you also like to give us a preview of what to expect from the next iteration of the ID wallet and what that future update or updates will mean for our users and for GlobaliD?
Sure. I guess a little sneak peek. So a couple things come to mind. So with the ID wallet, right now what we've done is we've tried to bring forward features that make it easy to do everyday actions like sharing a picture of your ID or copying a number from the ID. But the next step is, what's something that you can't do today that you could do with GlobaliD? And that's where this selective disclosure idea comes into play, where if Calvin needed to send his ID to an Airbnb and he actually didn't want to send the whole thing, he just wanted to send the most relevant information, he could send just that ID number, or he could send just a portion of the ID in the form of a picture or a code or whatever it is, perhaps an exploding link that is only active for a certain amount of time. These are things that you just can't do today in the identity tools that exist, especially your physical ID. And so we're really excited about that. And then, we've been teasing a non-custodial wallet for some time. So don't be surprised if we have like a 2-for-1 scenario next release with the non-custodial wallet.
Very nice. Yeah, super excited to get that out as well. I know we all are. Well, Trey, I mean, thanks so much for joining us today, and big congratulations to you and the rest of the GlobaliD team, to all of us here. I mean, I know how hard everybody worked in order to bring this ID wallet to life. And I think I speak for everybody when I say we're super excited to continue building upon this release and giving everybody the ability to control their own identity. So again, thanks to you and the rest of the team, and thanks to everybody for watching. You can visit the App Store or the Google Play Store to download the latest version of the GlobaliD app today. And you can also find a download link in the description of this video. So be on the lookout for more releases. We'll keep them coming, get them to you soon, and we hope you'll join us next time. See ya.
Thanks, Calvin.